So hi everybody at home, happy Wednesday. We are picking up where we left off yesterday with your class. Okay, so when we look at these categories, so what everybody at home yesterday had to do was they had to take these pictures and then they had to categorize all the concepts. All right, so that's what and fetus are all from directly from your book, and that should be reviewed from your body unit, okay? I want to concentrate what you may see in the future, which would be the reflexes and the teratogens. So let's start with reflexes first. So this is the very first test you guys are ever going to get. Sorry, this is the very first test you got when you were brand new out of the womb. Literally, they cleaned you off, they took over and tested your reflexes. Nobody taught you these. These are inborn. And this is a beautiful way for the doctors and the nurses and the medical team to first see, is everything okay so far with the child? So I'd like you to write down the reflexes. I have 5 of them on the board for you. They're also listed on that sheet or underneath the term reflexes. I don't really have a spot, so you got to kind of spot for where we're going to write this part. We're talking about prenatal development here. So I just like to explain to you guys what these reflexes are. Oral reflex, the first one, is when the nurse would take the newborn baby and she would go like this and hold the baby's head. And then what she would do is she would let go of the baby's head and drop and catch the baby. That's the moral reflex. What they're going to see is this. So usually I get more kids that are a little bit more appalled that I've just dropped a baby. But you guys are all in the copy. But you understand that? Like they're holding the baby and it's like, boop. And then what happens is the reflex that they're seeing is the baby, if everything is working correctly, will spray their arms like this. It'll just a natural reaction. So all these reactions, curling, otherwise known as plantar reflex, and these are really cool if you could ever compare yourself to do them at home with your child. But you take the foot, and if you stroke the outer soles, which would be here, just real softly, what should happen naturally is the baby's toes get out. And if you stroke the inner sole, then the toes will naturally curl and have that curling motion. All again, just a natural reflex. Sucking is obvious. The nurse would just take her finger or his finger, put it inside the mouth of the infant, and the infant should immediately clamp down and begin that sucking reflex. Grasping, you got a baby like this, brand new. The nurse takes their fingers, they put them in the palm of the hand. The baby will clamp like a vice. I am not kidding. Like you would be so surprised if you're if you're an infant. And then you can pull up baby like this, ever so softly, let them down ever so softly, and the baby will not lose grip. That baby will just hold on tight. And then finally, the tonic neck. I like to call it the Heisman Trophy. Because what you're doing is you're very softly, you'd be turning the baby's neck to one side, and whatever side the baby is turned on, that arm and that leg would remain straight, and then the opposite side would have more of an on guard position. So the knee and the elbow would come up like this. Opposite side, it would do the exact same thing. So that's why I call it the Heisman, or they call it Heisman because of that position. Bottom line is all these reflexes. If you look under the term reflex on your desk, I've got some categories that would fall under those things. So not only the also why they're important, really help the medical community pick out whether if there is a complication and we should pursue anything further. Next word I want you to make sure you memorize is teratogens, and that's the final picture you see on your desk with the two children. Teratogens, if College Board's going to give you anything, these two teratogens, you need to know what it is, and here's what it is. A teratogen is any harmful substance that is intentionally or unintentionally digested or consumed or received by the mother. And what I mean by that is Unintentional harmful substance could be like what? What might I be taking or putting in my body that I'm not quite sure it was even harmful, that I later learned was harmful? Okay, let's talk about that in a minute. What about today? Alcohol would be knowing. That would be something I would know harm. What could be something I would be taking or eating or digesting that I didn't know would harm my baby until the doctor told me? A medication, like even an over-the-counter thing, like Advil, things like that. Like most of us would be like, oh, it's not going to really do anything until you learn caffeine. It's not allowed, but if you drink it in a huge amount, it could become a teratogen. So this substance, caffeine, could be teratogen, and it could harm. How if I go into a room that's just recently been painted? The fumes, fish, mercury in it. Are you getting my drift? How all these things could potentially do teratogen and harm my baby. Now let's talk about things that were like a virus. And the Zika virus, that at one time, it's on that green sheet that you see right there that I see Canal using. And they talk about that there. So the Zika virus, if a woman is pregnant and she got the Zika virus, what we saw years later is the brain size of the infant was different than a brain size of an infant that did not have a mother that had this. The scary thing is, you guys, is COVID. We don't know yet. And in 5 years, some of you will probably be in the medical community at that time. Maybe that's your future course. We will definitely be learning about what has happened to women who contract COVID, who were pregnant at the same time, and it does anything, hopefully not. Hopefully nothing happens to the developed child. And then let's talk about teratogens that are tending more harmful. You had brought up alcohol. So let's go out. First of all, take a quick look, you guys, at the embryo stage. Underneath the embryo stage, it says placenta and the major organs are developing, and it is the most vulnerable time. Scary if you're a female. Why? Because look at 2 to 8 weeks. Women, why is that scary for us? We're a minority in this class, I just noticed. Many times you don't know that you're pregnant. So I'm sexually active, go out weekend, and I engage and I overindulge in a party that I maybe shouldn't have, but needless to say, I find out later that I'm pregnant. That's a bit different than the teratogen, where I think what you were referring to is now I know I'm pregnant. I know I'm pregnant, and now I intentionally consume. Happens? Yes, you bet it happens. In fact, I can tell you guys a story. I was just started to date my husband. He was playing baseball, and I would go and watch him, and there were other people there watching their boyfriends or watching their husbands. And I was sitting next to a woman who was very pregnant, very noticeably pregnant. She had to have been about 7 months pregnant. And she just had one beer after the next, just literally pounding them. It just, that's what we're talking about when we talk about people that actually consume to the point of when they know. So it's a bit different than when I'm 3 weeks pregnant and I didn't know, right? So the intent is going to be awful. So the harmful substance is the alcohol. So I have a little bit dramatic, I guess, little visual for you to see. And this was placed in the glasses yesterday. So now we're going on over 24 hours in here. This is one egg. This egg has been placed around water. This egg has been placed solely on vodka. I wanted to show you that this is happening if you are a mother who is intentionally drinking while your baby is sitting inside of you. The whites is cooking. Look at that. That's because when you are a woman, I drink a margarita and I'm pregnant. How's it get to my baby? It's going to the baby via the placenta, because everything I consume is getting to that child as well. But the big thing that a lot of people don't realize is the amount of alcohol that is actually going into that child. So yes, it's worse that it's going to a child, but it's also double. So it gets to the placenta, it goes into the baby, and then it goes into your bloodstream. When it's getting inside your bloodstream, what happens is it goes to that baby's amniotic fluid, which is that fluid that you're seeing just sitting, that baby is just sitting in that. So for every margarita drink, that baby's drinking 2 or consuming of it. And a fetal alcohol syndrome, which is one of the terms that you should know under Tradigen, FAS baby, a fetal alcohol syndrome baby, can look, now obviously this is a doll, so this is dramatic, you know, but will look many times like this. In fact, most times an FAS baby will look just like this, which in this case, I'm trying to normal. This baby doesn't look not normal. Because the first thing that's going to be impaired on an FAS baby is what you can't see the brain. It's the cognitive development. And you talk about a laundry list of cognitive development problems. Everything from slow reading, lack of attention. Put those two things together. I'm not good in school and I don't have a good attention. Results in huge amount of behavior problems, right? I mean, especially early on. I'm not good. I tend to sit and do what you guys are doing right now. Now I got all these behavior issues. Child after child. What I wanted to just say to you guys is you might never choose to have a baby. It could be an accident that you get pregnant. The choice of you consuming alcohol while you're knowing pregnant is doing nothing but getting that child off to a terrible start in life. So as a child, the one who was sitting next to me at that ball game was raised and went through the school system, and I watched him struggle and struggle and struggle. And he looked completely normal. You would never have known. Now, the extreme case of an FAS baby is like this. Okay. So what are the visual characteristics that are quite different? Eyes. What about the eyes? That's correct. They are farther apart and more slit. They're not as wide open. Birth weight. I mean, you talk about it to be very, very thin. In addition, the lip of the severe FAS baby will be almost non-existent, and then the 2 lines that go above the lip won't be there anymore. So all of this combined with brain development problems, you've got this kid off a really bad start. They also sent me another tragedy, obviously more severe, which is called, a crack baby, or a mom who was addicted to some type of illegal drug. And then that drug goes immediately similar to what I was telling you about alcohol. And then the withdrawal symptoms are so high for these children. How is cry different than a normal baby cry? Any ideas? Some of you don't have a lot of experience with babies, I know. Sounds a lot scarier. It sounds like that child is in pain. So there is a difference when you become parents, if you do someday. Your child cry because they're hungry. You'll notice the difference in their cries. Or child is hurt, like something just happened. They're hurt. That's a hurt cry. Also, did you notice the shaking? Can you see the legs? That baby is literally going through the withdrawal of the drug. It is so sad. Some of the major hospitals in the country have a drug rate than here in Dubuque, Iowa. If you're in the neonatal unit, they see this they see this more, I should say, than people in lesser drug cases. All right, Tradigens, you got it? Let's go back to our chair. I want you to write on the next page. Let's go to, I think it's green, the next page over. Oh, if you take a quick picture of that, Ken, those are all coming down tomorrow, unless you feel like you got what you needed, which is totally fine too. All right. So, On that, what's the next page after that green sheet? Purple. Nope. Green. I'm such an idiot. The first green page. Yeah. Flip it to the front side. All right, at the top it says temperament. If you asked your parents last night, okay, this is a vocabulary word, you need to know what temperament means. Okay, so that's why I wanted you to ask your parents. How many of you considered yourself or your parents considered you a easy child? A baby. Okay. Those of you who asked, how many of you found out that you were not a good baby? Only one of you found out you were a bad kid. It means nothing for today, just so you know. It has no impact. For those of you who said you were a good baby, why did they say you were a good baby? Lack of crying is usually big. What else?
I was a good baby except for when it came to like bedtime, but like I just like quiet and like didn't fuss or anything.
So your parents didn't even know you were there. You're a good baby because we don't even know you exist.
Until it came to bedtime.
Oh. Usually people will say you're a good baby if you sleep well, like you said, or like don't cry or fuss a lot or really need a lot of attention. Adam, do you remember why they said you weren't such a good baby? And nothing they could do would help soothe you. Many times people call this colicky, like you're a colicky baby, like something going on. Sometimes you hear people say, there was nothing I could do to stop the crying, so I put them in the car seat and I would drive them around the neighborhood and it would just quiet the kid down. All kinds of solutions will come up into your little bag of tricks someday if you become a parent. What's temperament mean then? Temperament means it's your personality. It's your mood right away from birth. Your parents didn't teach you to cry or to go to sleep well right away at the beginning. That is your temperament, okay? So we actually that right away at the beginning, and some of us are just easier than others, and then we many times are off that too. Take a look at the very bottom of that page. That's a vocab word. It's called maturation. Need to know that word. So what is maturation? Well, maturation is the normal physical process for development that all of us will do or go through. That was very badly worded. How else would that? Maturation, the normal developmental process all humans experience. It would be a way to say it. So what do I mean mental processes? Well, how old is, generally speaking, an average person when they begin to walk? Nope, not 2. Not 3.
Like
1. Yes. Now, what if you were a mom or a dad and sitting there with Junior and he's a year or she's a year and they're not walking yet? What are you thinking? Something's wrong. Right away, most people like from Junior, right? Most of the time, if Junior starts walking at 9 months, it doesn't mean Junior's going to be an advanced track star. If Junior walks 12, 13, 14 months, it doesn't mean they're going to be handicapped and can't ever walk. It means they're completely normal. Maturation is the development process that we all go through, and within a normal time, we like those developmental stages. Now, if Junior was 3.5 and was still not walking, you start to become alarmed. 2.5 years nor beyond the average. You see the difference? See, a lot of parents don't understand that maturation will just happen naturally. You'll not, most people start to learn to walk before you learn to crawl. It's a maturation. It's a natural course and a natural development that takes course over our physical lifetime. Understand? You can't run if you don't know how to walk. I mean, that's a common saying, right? But it's dealing with maturation. So up above, which we don't have time to do today, and you don't need to do it but one of the reasons why I have students saying, when does this happen? When does this happen? When does this happen? Because there's a general range for all of those milestones that you see there. There's a general range for when a child can actually smile. Physically, it causes, you have muscles there, right? So you have to physically be able to develop them. Right. So from there, we'll move to the sheet, which is the next one. Write down the terms that you see next to Kanal and Brian. Schema, assimilation, and accommodation, please. So you have heard the word schema from me before. Schema, it is how you organize information. It's the framework of what you use to organize information. I refer to it as the file cabinet. So if you see off to the right, you see me drawing or attempting to draw files. The files I have used to organize my music information are based on the types of music. Country, pop, rock, and I put different artists in those files. You do this naturally. I was telling you, you can't open a brain and say there's a file cabinet in there. It just happens. So when you start organizing all that information, it's going to be that natural fit. Two words to remember from this particular word, schema, is assimilation and accommodation. And kids always get these two messed up. Don't mess them up. What is assimilation? SS. It means same schema. What do I mean by that? When you take a new experience or assimilate, you try to fit it into that file folder. You assimilate it into a file folder that already existed. You're shoving it in there. Did you guys ever use ink? If you did, little Boo had a friend, and that friend was furry, and that friend had 4 legs. She didn't call that friend a monster. She called that friend a kitty, because in her mind, kitties had fur. Kitties were soft, and that's what monster was. But his name for her, because she assimilated it into the same file folder she had for cats. Now, when we get older, we accommodate. Don't leave yet. When we accommodate, we look at the experience in a new way. I'm going to give you a lifesaver. Put down what flavor you think it is right now, even just on the front. Don't smell it. What flavor it is? What flavor is it? Come on. Nobody's going to say? Strawberry, watermelon, whatever. You are trying to fit this flavor into you're trying to assimilate this flavor into a present schema. Now put it in your mouth and suck on it. It's not strawberry. I don't know if chewing it's going to work as well as the sucking on it, but what are you tasting? Drywall? Anything else?
It's just a relatively bland.
Oh, that's not usually what I get. I get baby powder. I usually get, what did you say? Tums? Okay. The best one I ever got was an old lady's armpit, dry, like deodorant type of stuff. That's because these lifesavers came from Australia. In Australia, they have a file folder that says strawberry, lemon, watermelon, just a second. And they have one that says musk. Musk in Australia is a flavor. And musk for us is a what? Scent. Scent. We struggle assimilating this thing into our schemas. Have a great day. I leave you with a nasty mouth, right? Sorry about that. See you guys when? Monday? God. Goodbye, everybody. Have a